What's up guys, I'm Mr. Audio, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. In today's video, we're going to talk all about risers. What are they, how you can create them, and ways to be creative in making them. So what is a riser? Well, it's basically a sound that'll help you transition from one section to the next in your production. It usually means it goes from low energy to a high energy. So it usually starts out in a low frequency range and ends up in the high frequency, and that's why it's called a riser. And it sounds like a usually, or something to that effect. You could reverse a cymbal to get this effect. You could throw a single syllable into a bunch of reverb and make that reverb tail really long. Maybe you have to throw it into two reverbs. Who knows? Bounce that down, reverse it, and then kind of chop off the front and place it where it needs to go. That's how I would do like a reversed vocal. I'll show you a few of these. I've even reversed a reverbed out kick to get a really deep, dark swell in a drum and bass production. I'm going to show you a few of these risers just so you can get an idea of how you can do cool things with them. So I'm first going to show you what a noise sweep sounds like, and then we're going to create one. I used Massive a really long time ago to create this, but we can do it in Vital or any other synth program. And it's just that simple. Now let me show you how to create this. So we're going to grab Vital here, throw it on the track, and we're just going to turn on the noise, all right? White noise, level that high, and we're going to turn this volume down. And now I'm going to go like this, create a MIDI track, and put one note, all right? So this sounds like this at first. All right? But now we're just going to throw a very simple EQ8 on it, stock plugin, turn this on, bring this down. All right, you can see that there's sound happening. But now let's take this and do this. And it's just that simple. You can get creative and kind of do like a sweep. That's too much of an angle. Let's bring this back up here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to freeze and flatten this. Okay, and now you've got your sweep right here, right? Well, we don't need all of this information. So we're going to take and we're going to do this. And then we're going to turn this, Command J that, make it just one file, and we'll play this. And there you have it. There's a noise sweep. Now let's move on to the other ones that I've discussed. Let's find a good kick. All right, so I'm going to steal a kick from this production, bring it back down here. We're just going to do this. Trim this up a little bit, bring up the volume. Okay, now we're going to put a reverb on this and turn up to 100%. Let's hear what it sounds like. Maybe turn it down a little bit. Maybe that's too much. No, we got way too much pre-delay on that. Let's try no pre-delay. There. There, okay. So now I got the kick sound the way I like it. Let's throw it into some more No, let's not do that. Let's just see what happens when we freeze and flatten this. And making good risers is all about experimentation. So now we're going to reverse this. Let's see how this sounds. Whoa! That sounded really cool. Hold on. Okay, so now we've made these two risers together, and they sound pretty good by themselves, I bet. And you see, you can really get super creative with creating risers. Now let's look at some risers that I've made in my past productions. So even in this production, there's a cool riser. Actually, there's a few. Let's check this one out. So I made this in an earlier production, and I use it in a lot of different productions. I had a guitar that I had a delay on, and I think it was like an eighth note delay, and I changed it to either a 16th or a quarter note or something, and I had automated that that time change. Well, what it did is it caused this really cool riser sound. Check this out. Super metallic sounding, and it's on a pitch, so I can like tune it to whatever track I'm working on. It's pretty cool. I like to use this a lot. Anyway, so there's a riser that I made. Here's one from a hip-hop snare. It's just adding a little bit stuff to it. And here's a reverse crash cymbal. Nothing special here. I don't exactly know what this one is, but it's something. All right, so now we're going to go look at the last riser in this production, and that's the transition into the last drop, wherever that may be. It's right here. All right, so basically I took, I think it was this note right here, or one of these, like this note, and I stretched it out and reversed it, and I turned it into this. That was pretty cool. Here's how it is in the context of the mix. And as you can see, that riser works really well there. Anyway, let's check out a few other productions. Let's move on to another couple productions. These are all 3 pop productions, and I really want to show you these 3. And then we'll visit an electronic production one more time to show you a really cool kick that I did. So let me show you this vocal riser that kind of pairs with these 2 guitars that transitions from the chorus of this production into the second verse of this production. So it starts out with this guitar right here, paired with these 2 transitional guitar, like ring out notes. And that's what this sounds like right here. So that was actually cool. I actually had to dip down the guitars in volume because of pan law. Basically, when something's more on one side, panning it to the center will make it louder because you're hearing it in both ears. But if you dip down the volume at the rate that you're traveling into the center, you can keep the volume the same across the whole stereo field. So then you can actually pan and have something go around the head and stay at the same volume, like I've done here. And that was this. So now what we can do is we can pair it up with this vocal riser right here into this vocal part. So now it sounds like this. You can have every... Now in the context of the mix, we'll unsolo these. There's nothing left for me to say. You can have every last penny. And a perfect transition into those strings in that second verse part. Anyway, let's open up a couple of other productions and show you some more risers that I've created by just getting creative. All right, in this production, we're going to look at a riser that I've created on the organ to swell into the second chorus from the second verse of this song. So here is the riser in question. And it's very subtle. It doesn't add a ton, but in the context of the mix, here, just listen. And as you can see, it's very effective. Just that little subtlety of rising up into that chorus is so nice. Anyway, let's check out another production. All right, so in this production, I took the last vowel in the first word of the next section, which would be the chorus in this case, and I threw it into a bunch of reverb and delays and made a really long, cool sounding tail, and then I reversed it, chopped up the front, and lined it up right to where it needed to be. And this is what that sounds like. So here it is by itself. And as you can see, it felt like it was about to sound really cool there. So here's how that sounds with everything else. Look at me, I'm falling apart. And that sounded really cool. But you can really notice it in the second chorus, where I also used it again. Without it, it just sounds kind of empty. Even though there's other risers there, with it, it adds so much. Here, let me show you. So without it, it sounds like this. This world, it's time to make amends. I mean, it sounds good, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't sound like enough build, right? So with it,
This world, it's time to make amends.
And as you can see, it's way more effective with that there than without it. Anyway, on to the next production. So I totally forgot about the riser in this production. I used another organ, but I really wanted that Leslie effect. So I messed with it in Contact till I got the sound I wanted. Then I threw a tremolo on it. And basically, I just kind of used just the last chord in the chord progression in this production itself. And I just swelled into the next section, which just happens to be another part of this verse. So in this production, before the risers, everything sounds like it's coming through an AM radio. That's the effect I wanted. So I use like Isotopes vinyl with a certain setting on, and then some Bit Crusher and some other things probably. So I did that, and then I made it shut off when the risers were finished. And the risers were the only thing that were full spectrum, so it was kind of alluding to the fact that the production was going to be full spectrum in a second. Here, let me show you what the riser sounds like, and then I'll play it in the context of the mix so you really get the idea of how simple you can create just a simple riser. All right, so here is just the riser now. And now here it is in the context of the mix.
In this wicked world, they say it's not that far. You can find him there, playing his guitar.
And as you can see, that effect is great. And it was very simple to create. All I did was take that last chord of a chord progression, put it to an organ, freeze flatten it, and then swell up into it. I did add a tremolo, but that's besides the point. Anyway, you get the idea. All right, so here's this drum and bass production where I said I used a kick to kind of swell into a drop. And it was just some cymatics kick that added a little bit more reverb because there was some reverb on it already. It's a big movie stomp kick is what I think it was called. Anyway, I used that in junction with a couple of other risers, and, you know, I was already kind of doing build-ups in the track anyways. So let's listen to what the kick sounds like, then I'll show you it in the context of the mix. So here's just the kick. I mean, if you ask me, it kind of just sounds like a dark noise sweep, just kind of stayed in the low end, you know what I mean? Anyway, so in the context of the mix, it sounds like this. All of these cool ways I've shown you to create risers are just to help you give you ideas on how to create your own risers in your own productions. But if you have trouble with that, Splice is a great resource for this. Lots of people create buildups and risers. I like to try to warp them a little bit so you don't hear the same riser or buildup in different productions, but that's just me. Anyway, guys, that's the video this week. I'll see you in the next one. Mr. Audio, out.